Welcome back to me breaking down more of Dungeons and Dragons. Last time we talked about this, it was an introduction video to D&D as it is now. So this will be more creating a character from the ground up. This is going to be kind of be broken down into two videos, mainly because I'm having an issue with my printer at the moment and I don't have an actual character sheet sitting in front of me, but for your sake, for just the sake of convenience, I was able to get one template of what it actually kind of looks like. And as you can see right there, that's what we're working with. Stats up there, your saves, your inventory, slots, skills, and so forth. So, that's already been filled in by a random character generator. As far as the blank sheets, for some reason my printer is having an issue printing them from the source I have them at. So what I'm probably just going to end up doing is going and printing out a bunch of them, either at work or at the local library. I do want to get a bunch of them because I love having them on as extras. So right away, we decided you're going to need the core book. You're going to need some dice. You're going to need to figure out what kind of character you're going to play. So let's actually get into the meat and potatoes of making a character. Now, right away, we need to decide what kind of character we're going to play. And I'm kind of reading off of what I have sitting in front of me now. So if my eyesight goes from one thing to another, now you know. I am, in fact, reading off of a prompt, which is on my computer, which is about 7 inches below where I'm recording. So let's just break that right there. So I decided while writing this, we're going to do something fun. We're going to do an Elven Ranger. Primarily because they get really good bonuses in the right stats where we need them, like in Dexterity. We're going to need that because Dexterity is the skill you're going to be basing your attack with longbows, and I believe even crossbows, if I remember correctly. Ranged weapons like that, they base their attack on Dexterity and not Strength, which is everything else. So we got to learn about elves. And what are some cool things about elves? Well, we got to go right at the very end of the description of every one of the races. It gives you the bonuses and plus the extra special traits. So what bonuses do elves have? Well, right away it says on here, they get a +2 to Dexterity automatically, but they get a -2 to Constitution because they're smaller, frailer creatures. Keep in mind they do live longer than humans, but everyone still dies the same. They move at a base speed of about 30, which is, I think, average across the board. Weapon proficiency with rapiers, long swords, long bows, and it even said short bows on there as well. They do get a +2 bonus to listen, search, and spot. Those are your 3 main skills, but again, next time. And they also gain the automatic languages of Common and Elven. Now, usually, rule of thumb with languages is it's your intelligence modifier. That is how many extra languages you can learn outside of that. Now, this is the only area of the game where I would suggest metagaming because you really should be paying attention to what characters people are playing with, because if you're able to communicate with them better in the game, it makes it easier. Sometimes the dungeon master will say just everyone speak Common. I think it's nice to have a backup language between Common, your race language. I also say it's really nice to go with a language that's fairly common, like Goblin or Orcan. Something very simple like that. So if you don't know, again, ask your DM, and they'll probably give you suggestions. I know when people ask me starting off, I'll say, well, based on the stuff I have set aside for you, I'd recommend that you probably want to learn Goblin. It's probably the best thing you can learn right now because chances are you may or may not encounter some goblins. So we got all that figured out. We're doing an Elvish Ranger. As far as how tall you want him, hair color, eye color, what he chooses to believe in, again, that's all. I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm not really going to worry about it. Maybe at the end I'll have like a template made for this whole thing. But next we're going to focus on rolling the stats because these are going to be like the heart of the character itself. So the next time you see me, we're going to be rolling some stats. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? We rolled some interesting stats. Hopefully we did our character a little bit of justice. I wanted to kind of get a feel of what it goes into stats. Now, for I think the 10th time, I'm going to say again, in the 5th edition book, it does not say anything about re-rolling, or I missed it. Dungeon Master discretion on there. Just ask. If you have a really low roll or really low single-digit stat, different rules apply. Lowest stat can become an 18 if you didn't naturally roll an 18. Some people like to re-roll 1 and 2s. Some people don't re-roll at all. You go by the automatic stats of 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. 6. I had to count in my head. I wasn't processing. So we got it right there. So constitution of the character. Again, we're going to go right back to the character sheet, which I have sitting right here. Your hit points are determined by pretty much your character's hit die plus your constitution modifier times your character level. So in order to do that, we then have to take the character's hit die, which I'm going to pull up right here because, planning ahead is too cool. I believe it's a D8. Actually, no, it's a little bit bigger. Okay. So your hit points at first level are always 10 plus your constitution modifier. And then the hit die after that is D10 per ranger level. So level 1 is always going to be 10 plus your constitution modifier. So if we go by what we rolled, our constitution modifier is a 2. We add that to 10 for your starting level. And your starting HP for level 1 is 12 hit points. That number does go up. So next level, since your hit die is D10, you're going to be adding 12 to your next level. And you're going to keep doing it over and over and over. Hit points at higher levels, it says right here, 1d10 or d6 plus your constitution modifier per range level after first. So that's pretty much what that is. So it would be it'd be 2 plus it'd be 1d10 plus your constitution modifier per level. Some people are going to have you roll a d10 plus your modifier to do HP. Always ask if you're doing maximum HP per level. I recommend doing it that way. The other way, you can get really screwed. Getting 3 HP after one level would suck because the challenge rating of things goes up and you can die pretty easily. So that's your hit points. Now we need to discuss what you're going to be carrying with you and what you're going to be having on you. For elves, there are special rules with elves. You can't carry heavy items, and since we're using a ranger, we're going to be sticking towards bows, typically, like bow and arrows. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the book. We're going to decide what we're going to carry as our armor and what we're going to use as our weapon. And then we're going to kind of tie it all up in a bow. And that will conclude this portion of it. The last time we do this, the part 2, it will be the skills you're going to need for your character. Figuring out how much gold you're going to be starting with. And a few odds and ends I might have failed to mention. So let's get into setting up the character in-game. So let's roll some character stats. Now we're going to need a couple things for this. First, we're going to need a nice little surface to roll them onto. I just put the book on top of my laptop because my laptop doesn't have a grip surface, plus it's a little slanted, so this kind of evens it out. Also, you're going to want to have some paper to write these down, so I guess maybe you could just put that right on top. Also, you're going to need some die. You're going to need 4 D6. Now, it doesn't really matter what kind you have, just as long as they are standard edition D6. You're going to need at least 4 of them. The only other way you could do this is by borrowing from it's called the official set. of stats, meaning that you can automatically plug in an 8, a 10, a 12, and then 13, 14, and 15, and you can use those in any one of your base stats. But as we all know, you have a better chance of just rolling your stats. So we're going to roll stats. Now, in the book, and I'm going off of 5th edition standards on this, you roll these, and it's, there we go. The 3 highest die are what that stat point is. So if this was an official roll, that'd be an 8. And I'd have to put the 8 somewhere. Now, growing up, some people have an unofficial rule where you re-roll 1s and 2s. That's a rule that I played by. It made for a lot more tougher characters. If you wish to go by those rules, you can. But if we're 100% by the book, which is what you should be doing in your first time, then recommend going with that. So what we'll do is this. We'll do a little modify of the rules. So it'll be 1 roll, and you re-roll any 1s, and basically you take them, and we'll do this 6 times until we have our stat numbers, and I'll write them down while we're doing it. So I'm going to switch hands here on the camera. There we go. If I do apologize if the dice fall out, it's still a slanted surface. All right, so we got a 1 up here. We're going to re-roll that. Hopefully a better number. A 5. All right. So top 3 number. The top 3 are right there. So we got a 12. I'm not going to re-roll that. That's pretty well, you can. That right there is a 16. That's why I say always re-roll your stats. So again, this is just a modified version of the rule to kind of make the game better. I personally, when I used to DM games, I would always tell people re-roll 1s, maybe 2s, depending on if it was people's first time. And we'll get to at the very end what we would do next. So not re-rolling anything right there. We got a 15. Got a 1 there, going to re-roll it. Another 1 there, going to re-roll it. Got a 5. So an 11 there. Now, before anyone goes in the comments and says how you shouldn't do that, it's against the rules. Again, these are homemade rules that me and my close friends all came up with, and we've been playing that way ever since. I'm well aware of how it works, so you can leave it in the comments. You don't have to, fine. 16. Yep, my numbers are right. And we'll do it one more time. So these are actually pretty solid numbers. Reroll those. Okay. And that's a 17. All right. So 17. Okay. Now, another unofficial rule we had was out of any of those numbers, if you didn't roll a natural 18, you could turn your lowest number into an 18. We're not going to do that here. Usually, I only really reserve that rule if anyone rolls single-digit stat points, and that's because you really don't want to go in with a 6 or a 9, depending on if you re-roll 1s or 2s. You really don't want to go in there and then have to apply your bonuses to them. It really makes an uneven character. So we're not going to do the automatic 18 here, but again, a lot of these are somewhat unofficial and rules that I have tweaked with. So we got your stats right here. So what's next? Well, we need to assign what stats they're going to go into. But in order to do that, we got to get our stats written down. Moving on to the next phase, we have our stats listed here. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Now, since we are playing an Elvish Ranger, we want to focus on the dexterity one the most, because that's what you're going to be using to use... That's your stat you're going to be using to wield crossbows. So we're going to take the highest one, which is a 17. We're going to put that right up there. So always make sure to cross out the ones you're done with them. You don't want to rewrite them on accident. The one I'm not worried about right now would be the intelligence. So that'd be the 11. Let's see. We got a 12 in there. We could just throw that with charisma. Or, I'm sorry, wisdom. That's the little one screaming. She says hello. I would say get a 16 in constitution. We'll make him a somewhat beefier one, a 16 there and a 15 there. So those right there are the stats. If anyone else wants to put them anywhere else, by all means. I usually like to gravitate towards making like meatier characters. So there is that. Now remember, she really wants to say hi. She loves D&D too. She was actually chewing on one of my books the other day. It was kind of funny. So what do we do next? We have to apply the positives and the negatives. So if you remember, it says in the book that elves do get special bonuses for their race. Mainly, they get a +2 to their constitution, while a -2, a +2 to dexterity and a -2 to constitution. I'm mixing things up left and right. So with that being said, do we want to keep, and I'll zoom in there, do we want to keep the 16 here or move it up there? So I would almost say this be a golden opportunity to switch. So what the end result is end up going to look like. So that right there would be what the end result is that I think would be ideal for an elvish ranger. 16, 18, 15, 11, 12, and 15. So then we have to figure out what the base or the ability modifiers are. I'm sorry, I'm getting my terms mixed up. Those are really easy. You just look those up in the book. If memory serves me right, 16, anything between a 16 and a 17 is an ability modifier of 3. Anything 18 or 19 is a 4. 15 is a 2. 14 and 15, 2. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. We'll go down here and do 2. 12 and 13 is 1. And that would be 0. So right there, those are your ability modifiers. Now you're going to need those next for when you have to put in for your saves or applying them to your bonuses. But we'll be getting to that in a little bit. So basically, this is the core of your character and how they're going to be able to function in and out of battle. Here we have kind of the finished product. Like, again, this is what it is supposed to look like. And after doing what we did, this is actually what it's supposed to look like. And if we can get in there. Let's see, we got our Elven Ranger level 1. We got our stats in right there. We got our saving throws there. Those are with your character classes, by the way. It tells you what level and what bonuses you have to your attacks. Clearly, there's some stuff I'm leaving blank. That's okay for now. But this is just like the getting started. So, but like for instance, like your base attack bonus would be whatever. It would be your dexterity. Your base attack bonus for level 1 is 1. And sometimes people will add what they have to use as far as like their ability modifier to that. So it would be 4 plus 1, so plus 5 technically. We got our weapon here. As you can see, it had a little mess up right there, but that's cool. We got our damage, which 1d8 plus 4, critical times 3. Skills are very, very important to this game. These are basically what you have to roll in order to do certain actions. Now, with these, I just basically went by the book. Climb, concentrate, craft arrows. You're definitely going to want to be able to do that. And just really going down here, handle animal, obviously, hide, jump, knowledge of dungeons, geography, and nature. Listen, move silently, ride, search, spot, survival, swim, and use rope. And really, it's super easy. You take the ability modifier that corresponds to it. Like, for instance, climb. Your ability modifier is 3. You know, just like right over here. And you add your ranks to it. Now, ranks really cannot. I believe it's your class level. I believe it's like not more than 4 above your class level. I do apologize if that information is wrong. Some books have it written differently than others. I do believe that you can only put as many ranks into it as your level plus like just a few. So my apologies for that. But how your points work at first level, it's your ability modifier, which would be intelligence, which we clearly don't have any. But it ends up coming out to 24 points. I don't have the book sitting in front of me to give you the equation, but trust me, I did this the other day, so a lot of this information is not fresh in my mind. And then we get to the back of the page. We have the chain shirts, just standard possessions you want to have on you: bedroll, rations, torches, quill for your bolts, or I'm sorry, arrows, water jug. I mean, clearly you can add on. This is just like very basic. The feats are the special abilities that you get every first, and I think every 3 levels thereafter. I do believe that there are some exceptions to this, like track is a bonus feat that you get for your class. I gave myself Iron Will because the will save for a ranger was really, really slow, or really, really low, I should say. Special abilities, those are just extra perks you can write down for your character. Languages. And again, I'm leaving a lot here blank, but this right here is like this right here, we're about 90% done with this character, minus a couple of numbers here. But honestly, that's something I would recommend that you would learn. You get the information from with whoever's running a campaign with you. But if you manage to get through all this, then congratulations. You have pretty much almost completed your very first character. Again, I do apologize for leaving some information blank. It's really not that important, so to speak. A lot of it is just base attack stuff, which again is really just what you roll to attack and then some. But that's going to be it. I do hope you like it, and let me know what you think in the comments below. And guys, thank you so much for watching. I do plan on making more of like a regular series of me kind of breaking stuff down. So tune in next time as I attempt to break down something else.